Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning and welcome to TimetoPlay.com's Empower Half Hour, where each week professionals and experts provide discussion and tips to help you have a better life. The Time to Play philosophy is you have to be happy, healthy, have money, and a work-life balance to have quality of life. TimetoPlay.com is a people-helping-people project, and I've been honored to find amazing professionals to help me in my mission to help people enjoy life. For those who care, I do have a goal to help 1 million people. And kind of stems from my healthcare background and seeing sick and sad for 24 years. So I'd like to try to make everybody have a wonderful life. So check out the information and articles posted on TimetoPlay.com. Also, give me a call or email. My contact information is on the Time to Play site. If you know someone amazing that should be a professional resource on Time to Play, or if you would like to be featured in a future podcast, give me a call. By the way, my name is Doreen. Just figured I should introduce myself. Today's guest is Jim Ryan, someone I met a few years ago when he presented at a meeting I had attended, and because of what he stands for, he was actually the first person I called to invite to be a professional resource on the Time to Play site. Jim spent a lifetime teaching and counseling people. He has a master's in guidance and counseling and was a teacher and a financial planner. His life changed when he volunteered in a local prison to teach a course in personal development. And he is an author, and he is a speaker, and he's motivational. Jim's intention is to spread simple happiness, and that's the name of one of his books. Pretty clever. What do you think, Jim?
Well, that's what I'm all about, just trying to enlighten people to the possibilities of living a happier life.
I love it. And like I said, that's why I called you. You were the very first person when I started getting this project ready to go, and you have just wonderful things to spread the joy to people. So give us a quick overview about how you got started giving talks and writing books. What gave you this idea? How did you start?
Well, it all started about 12 years ago. I can't believe it. I used to be a teacher and a guidance counselor. I got into business doing financial planning, but I've always been interested in personal development. I've always read a lot. I've gone to seminars. I've listened to tapes. And 12 years ago, I just said to myself, I got all of this stuff bouncing around in my head. What good is it doing in my head? I got to get it out of my head. So I spoke to a few friends, and I was directed to the jail out in Yaphank. And 12 years ago, I started teaching a course in personal development to the men at the DWI Alternative Facility. It was a course that I made up as I went along. And it's evolved into a 12-week course that I start at week 1, go to week 12, and then back to week 1 to week 12, and the men come and go. But it was a turning point for me, as you say. The men like the message. They shake my hand, they say thank you. And it just fills me up to go there every Tuesday morning. And about 3 years into that experience, I said, if these guys like it, why wouldn't people on the outside like it? So I came up with a talk called The Art of Happiness, and I wrote to libraries around Long Island, and they hired me to give that talk. That talk turned into a second talk, Live the Life of Your Dreams, and a third talk, Life is Not a Dress Rehearsal. And along the way, I wrote that book, Simple Happiness, 52 Easy Ways to Lighten Up. And it's been the most exciting time of my life, being out in the public, talking about how to be happy. I started in libraries, and now my talks take me around the country, and it's been so exciting.
Absolutely. With 52 chapters, which is kind of interesting, and I was talking to you before we started, but I actually got this book in 2008, and I actually said this morning I'm going to pull it off the shelf and reread it, because as I was flipping through talking, looking for things to discuss today, there's some wonderful information in there. But why did you pick 52? Because like people like to read cover to cover. So I know that you said like one a week and stuff like that. But what made you 52 instead of like, one a month or one a day? Like what hit you for 52?
Well, I was influenced by Richard Carlson. He's a psychologist who wrote the Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and It's All Small Stuff series. His books have 100 chapters, and I like that style because it's a friendly style. You can pick up, read a chapter, put it down, pick it back up, read another chapter. You can read 5 chapters, and then you can go back and pick out the ones that really resonate with you and delve into them. And 100 just seemed like too many. I couldn't come up with 100 ideas at that time. I wanted to have something a little substantial, so 10 or 15 didn't make sense. So I just arrived at 52, with the idea of one every week. And people can read it in the style that they like. Some people read it cover to cover in a short period of time, and some people read one chapter a week. And it's up to the individual, but it's a type of book that you can go back to and reread and re-energize yourself about living a better life.
Absolutely. The things that are in here are kind of like smack yourself in the head stuff. It's like stuff or stuff just to give you just that little bit of, I don't know, inspiration or just problem solving for each of these subjects, which it's tremendous, really. And again, I'm going to go back and reread it now too. Because you do speak all over the country and even at the jails and stuff like that, I know there's always lost souls, and that's one of the reasons I started Time to Play, because people just are lost. I think we're overwhelmed nowadays. But what do you find that people seek most in their quest for happiness? Like, what are the most common things that are troublesome to people or that they're seeking?
What I find is that people continue to think the same thoughts over and over again. We've heard the expression, people live a life of quiet desperation. People continue to deal with what is, and sometimes what is not the greatest situation. Maybe they've got a tough family life, maybe they're tough. The economy has got them down, but people continue to rethink what is, and if the more you think about what is, whether it's good or bad, you're going to get more of that. See, that's one of the major themes of my book is we become what we think about all day long. And we need a new idea. So often we keep recycling the same ideas over and over again, and we expect our life to be better, but there's no way that's going to happen. People need a new idea, and that's what my book offers. 52 new ideas. I say new, like you say, Doreen, people have heard this stuff before, but it's said in a way that's empowering and uplifting and friendly and encouraging. And people read a chapter and they'll say, well, you know what, I'm going to try that. And that's the purpose of the book, is to get people to try a new course of action, because doing the same thing over and over again is just going to lead to the same of whatever you've gotten, that life of quiet desperation. So it's to inspire people to try something new.
I love it, and it's so true, because when you do dwell or worry, you get down. It's that spiral, and I appreciate that completely. There's some other chapters in the book that just are really cool. Actually, I probably should throw that one out. Hang on, I have my little the don't make assumptions, which really lends itself into this thinking. With the continue to think the same thoughts over and over again, or, like if you're in a job and you think your boss hates you, or, that assumption thing, your sister, you think your sister's mad at you, or, the grocery store clerk doesn't like you. Do you want to throw out a little bit about the Don't Make Assumptions chapter? Because that's pretty interesting. I think a lot of people get caught up in that. I know I do, truly.
Absolutely. People are, whenever something goes wrong, especially in an interpersonal level, we tend to try to figure out what the other person's motivation was. Let's say your kid didn't get invited to the birthday party, and another circle of kids did get invited. You'll sit there and you'll ruminate and let that fester in your head about, why did my kid not get invited? And all kinds of things come to mind, and your mind starts to go in these devious directions, and it's usually not good. It usually ends up making you feel bad, feeling down, feeling depressed, feeling anger. And what's the point? You really have no idea what was in that person's head, so why spend so much energy trying to figure it out? And so often, something like that, 3 years later, 4 years later, the thought will come back to your head, and you'll continue to feel bad. I was talking about this in a talk one night in Syosset at a library, and a woman raised her hand, and she said, when you let something bother you that happened 3 or 4 years ago in an interpersonal plane. She said, that's like letting that person live in your head rent-free. See, if you went up to that person and brought up the issue, at a later date, the person would probably shrug her shoulders and say, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. And in her mind, it's nothing, but in your mind, it's this huge event that continues to drive you nuts. So if we could just understand that other people have their motives, they're usually trying to do the best they can too, and to try to assume what they're thinking is just a dead end for the most part. So again, it's noticing your thoughts that's critical. Noticing when you're going on that downward spiral, because it's just a thought, and half of the time, most of the time, when we make assumptions about other people's motives, we're wrong. So it's a hard one because we all tend to do it, but it's so liberating when you can just let that thought go and send out love to that person instead of trying to, find out what the devious motive was.
I appreciate that. Is someone living in your head rent-free is another chapter in the book. Actually, that was one of the other bullet points, I think, is just an incredible, just a realization. I mean, again, we kind of know it, and these things do drive you crazy. And, if you do feel sad or bad for that day and it just continues, it's just not a good way to be. I want to move on to, takeaways for 2012 a little bit. 2012 is coming, and it is the time that most people will kind of come up with these resolutions that we stick with for a week. So, but I'd love some ideas, 2 or 3 ideas, a couple of ideas, things that are important to people for the year of 2012 or any year for projecting to make their lives better. Stuff that you can share that people can actually focus on to have a happier life.
Well, one of the things that I do for myself personally, and I think it's good for anybody, is at the end of the year, sit down with a piece of paper and write down your accomplishments for this year. Write down what you did well in 2011, where you experienced growth, where you had a positive experience, where things worked out for you. Because so often we focus on how things didn't work out, and we try to, we beat ourselves up for our shortcomings. But so often, reminding ourselves of what we succeeded in can really put us on a springboard to move into the next year. So I think that's the first thing, is write down a list of all your accomplishments, big and small, and kind of relive them in your head and relive that feeling of how good you felt having accomplished whatever it was, whether it was, rekindling a relationship with a friend, or, making a big sale in your business, or stepping up and volunteering for an event, whatever it was, write them all down. And when I do goal setting in the jail, see, New Year's resolutions tend to come and go. We whatever it is, we write them down, and we don't write them down. But we spent 2 weeks, two sessions in the jail on goal setting, and I have the guys write down goals from a personal perspective, from a material and fun perspective, and from a financial perspective. See, these guys are in jail, and they've done some things that aren't quite great, and they're behind the 8 ball. So they need a lot of encouragement to get back on track, and we all do. So I would suggest just taking those 3 categories and sitting down and brainstorming and write down what would you like to accomplish from a personal perspective in 12. Maybe it's you want to read a book a month. Maybe it's you want to weigh a certain amount by the end of the year. Maybe whatever it is, write down those things and write down the material and fun, and write down the financial. And then a week later, look at them again and pick out the most important ones, the most important personal goal, the most important material and fun goal, and the most important financial goal. And print them up on your computer on a little, maybe like a business card size. Print them up, 1, 2, 3. Go down to the print store and have them laminate that card. And carry that card with you every day. Put it on your night table. Don't leave it in your wallet. Put it in your pocket where you're going to feel it during the day. And just carrying those goals around with you keeps the goals in the forefront of your mind. It helps because we're going to accomplish what we think about most. And just realizing what we want to accomplish helps us along that path. It helps us make the right decisions, the choices in daily life that help us get to that point. So that's what I would suggest. Really take it seriously and laminate them and make them part of your everyday experience.
That's an excellent advice. I actually am taking some notes as we're discussing, and I'm gonna, I guess, put a little summary up about some of the things that we're speaking on, because again, these are very implementable. Awareness. Key is awareness, and yes, we do make choices every single day, and hopefully if we do have those goals on our forefront of our mind, that we will be able to make them happen and make choices that will make them happen. So some people are very much down with the economy and the way of the world and things being harder. Do you have anything? I know we have so much in the book, like the appreciate column, chapter. But is there stuff that you can provide to people, little tips about people who are maybe struggling and feel defeated, a little bit defeated? So.
Well, that's a real tough one. I mean, because the reality is, if a person lost his job or her job, they're under financial stress, most likely, and that can be pretty overpowering, pretty devastating when you're in that kind of situation. But again, the whole idea, one of the basic themes is, it's not so much what happens to us that makes us happy or unhappy, but rather it's how we deal with what happens to us. So instead of, again, this is not easy stuff, and I'm not trying to be cavalier about it or anything else, but to try to make the best of the situation. Sounds simple, but realize that it's not your fault what happened. It's not you. It's another circumstance that put you in this situation, and now it's your job to figure out how to make the best of it. Now, a couple of things can happen. Your job while you're unemployed is to get a job, and there are several things that you can do while you're getting a job. You can picture yourself back when you were young, and you put yourself in a young person's situation and say, what would I really like to do with the rest of my life? How would I like to make a living going forward? And sometimes if you put yourself in that frame of mind, rather than just trying to get a job, trying to get that same job back, maybe this is the silver lining in the cloud. Maybe it's an opportunity for you to pursue something else. Maybe there's another field that you have an interest in that you never really pursued because you were stuck in this job. So putting yourself in the position of a younger person starting out, maybe there's another area that you might be interested in. Another thing is to volunteer. While you're not working, you feel bad, you feel unproductive. And volunteering, it's another chapter in my book. It's a great way to build up your self-esteem. It's a great way to give of yourself to others in hopes that their life will be better without any kind of monetary remuneration. And you never know where that's going to go. But number one, it builds up your self-esteem. You feel good. And that counteracts some of the negative feelings of having lost your job. So, number one, I would step back and reevaluate my career. Maybe there's another opportunity for me out there. Maybe there's something that I've always wanted to do, and this is an opportunity for me to pursue it. Volunteer to give of yourself, and who knows who you might meet while you're volunteering. So often when people lose their job, they hunker down, they sit in the computer, and they just they don't meet anybody. But so by volunteering, you're getting out there and you're showing your good side to people, and who knows who you might meet. So there's and the third thing is to work on in your head. You see, that's where it's all happening. You got to sit down and picture yourself back in the workforce. Picture yourself productive again. And when you get those negative thoughts, and they're going to show up, try not to dwell on them. Try to move to a better feeling thought of how, of your past accomplishments, of your good feelings from volunteering, and so on. So those are just a couple of ideas to help if you do fall into that category of losing your job.
Absolutely. I met a lady the other day who had a job for many, many years and just had gotten laid off, and I said, wow, the possibilities are just open to you now because, you do sometimes get into a rut and you don't have the opportunity to do something that does bring you happiness or passion, and you should love going to work because you're there longer than you're anyplace else. And it is an opportunity, and it is all how you look at it, just like you're saying. I just want you to kind of throw out there a couple of things about what you're doing for this next year yourself, and you have that wonderful Inner Circle program. And we do have 9 minutes left, and I have a little bit of housekeeping to do, but I do want you to talk about that because it's important for people to know where you might be and what you're up to.
Good. Thanks, Doreen. First of all, every week I send out an aha moment to my mailing list. So every Wednesday morning I send out a little aha moment. That's what I call them. It's an uplifting thought. It's a perspective on something that gives you, just a little lift during the middle of the week. That's free. You can go to my website, JimRyanTalks.com, and there's a little space to type in your email address, and you'll be hearing from me every week. You can always unsubscribe if it gets to be too much, but people like these aha moments. Doreen mentioned that I've started a Simple Happiness Inner Circle. What I've found over the years is that people get excited about the possibilities, but then without a little coaching and a little pushing, people tend to fall back to where they were. So the Simple Happiness Inner Circle is something that I've developed as an online coaching program. And on Monday, I'll deliver a theme via email, maybe 4 paragraphs about a theme. Maybe it's about compassion. Maybe it's about all kinds of things. And on Monday, I also have a video that you can watch of me talking about that theme. And then there's an assignment to do associated with the theme, something to put it into action. See, the whole thing is we know a lot of stuff, but until we actually do it and feel good about it, it tends to lie fallow. And then on Wednesday, there's another little bit of content and another assignment, and Friday, another bit of content on the same theme and another assignment to get people to do the things that make them feel good. And then each week there's a new theme, and that goes on and on. There's a small fee for joining the Inner Circle. It's $23.95 a month, but if that's too much, I have it open on a donation.
It's honestly, that's incidental, and people should invest in themselves. I actually was talking to Jim about writing up some Inner Circle results and things that people are achieving from being part of the program, and you shouldn't sell yourself short. You've been doing this for 12 years. You have an amazing knowledge base of things that you are able to tell people. And interestingly, when you said the aha moment, it kind of hit me. Truly, the book is an aha moment. Each chapter is an aha moment. It's like, yeah, that is true, or yeah, I can implement that. And it is really very interesting when you really think about it, things that kind of get buried in us that you're able to bring out for us to say, yeah, I can do that, and that will make me have a better life. And that's so important. So important. I just want to talk about a couple of things for next week, and then I want to kind of go down a little bit more about some of the things in your book, and we have a couple minutes left. One effect of unhappiness on our lives nowadays is divorce. I actually had lunch with Ram Delano, who's another professional resource. He was did a podcast with me a couple of days back regarding how to get through the holidays after the loss of a loved one. And we were talking about the divorce statistics, and I think that's a result of this unhappiness and the stress and dissatisfaction we have in our lives nowadays. Next Wednesday, on December 14th, Heidi Bernstein-Krantz is a professional life coach on the TimetoPlay site as well. She's under happiness. She specializes in helping divorced persons get their life back, and the theme is going to be from breakup to breakthrough, how to move forward in 2012. And I just want to let people know to go check out Time to Play. We do have amazing resources on here, things that will help you enjoy life, and professional articles that will help you on how to enjoy life. Start posting your events, tell your friends, send me what you want or need to know. Our contact information is right on the Time to Play site. So with our 4 minutes left, just to go down some of the chapters in your book, and maybe this will be also incentive for people to go and purchase it. It is very easy reading, and it's very thin. You become what you think about. We talked about live in the present moment. Are you a human being or a human doing, which is truly most of us nowadays, and something we might want to touch on. What makes you happy chapter. This might be something you want to touch on really quick. You noted some people can't answer what makes them happy. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, that's a good point. I just want to mention to everybody that the book, I'm running a holiday special for the book. The Simple Happiness book normally is $15. Is before Christmas it's $10. And I have another little inspirational book called My Aha Moments. It's 100 of my aha moments in a collection. It's a little inspirational book. That's on special for $8, and shipping is free. So if just give me a call. Can I give my phone number, Doreen?
Sure.
It's 631-754-7636. Just call me, tell me what you want. I'll personalize the book for you, and it'll be a great little gift. So often we buy these silly things that just get thrown away. This could be a gift that could change someone's life.
Can you order it online, or it's
you
just
can order it online, but it's best
okay.
through me. This way I can personalize it for you and make it real nice. But back to that point of knowing. One of the characteristics of happy people is they know what makes them happy, and they find time to pursue those interests. And I ask people in my talks, who has a hobby that they just love to do, blah, blah, blah. And people raise their hand. And one of the things that I always notice is that a smile comes to the face of the person who is sharing what they love to do.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing I notice is everybody has a different idea of what they like to do, which is the way it should be because we're all individuals. But the third thing I notice is a lot of people don't raise their hand. And it could be just I don't feel like raising my hand right now. Or it could be, as you say, I never really thought about what makes me feel most alive, what makes me feel happy. So people got to find that out. And if you do, your life is going to get better.
Absolutely. And it's very, very interesting that people don't. I was talking to a guy a couple of days ago, and he said, I just don't have a passion. I have work, I have family, and I have nothing that is a passion. And that's kind of sad. And maybe, like you said, go back into when you were younger and reevaluate, like look at what you used to do, what made you happy, what did you do? Did you play kickball? I'm sure there's kickball groups out there, things that will make you happy. And interestingly enough, not to plug the Time to Play site, but we have a clothing line that I started specifically to help people remember to enjoy life and to show their passion. So if people go on the Time to Play site, they could go look at that. But that's the absolute reason that I started that, because I want to smile. And if I'm wearing my little Time to Play shirt with my little gold wing on there, because we are, have a motorcycle, it makes me happy. Very important to remember to enjoy life. There's other chapters in this book. I encourage people absolutely to order it, and I truly want to, just to make people happy and enjoy life, because like I said, I think we kind of get into that rut, and it's just something that gets pushed aside. It's just we go through the daily grind, which is Jim's chapter of Are you a human being or a human doing? Jim, I would really like to thank you, as we're under a minute, for your time today. I know you are incredibly busy and you're on demand across the country, and you spending this half an hour is tremendous. And if we help one person, as we've spoken about before, that's our goal, to help one. But I want to help 1 million, but we want to help one at least, right? So,
well, thank you, Doreen. It's always fun for me to to yak and gab about what I'm passionate about, because it makes a difference. Boy, when you can get up in the morning, and I get up every morning and I say, I wonder what good is going to come my way today. I wonder whose life I can make a little bit better today. So that puts me on that path that I want to be on. I'm fashioning my life. I don't want to live by default.
Thank you so much, Jim, and thank you everybody who joined us today. Happy day.